A comet bigger than the Himalayas is headed straight for Earth, and we're all gonna die. No one believes the news reports, the president says it's a hoax, and the media just laughs it off. Two scientists go on TV to warn everyone, but they just get made fun of online. What do these scientists do now? Young astronomy PhD student Kate Dibiaski works at the Subaru telescope in Michigan when she spots a comet passing near Earth. Her professor, Dr. Randall Mindy, applauds her discovery. After naming the comet after her, they chart its path and learn it will hit Earth in 6 months, causing a global extinction event. Panicked, they call NASA to report their discovery. Dr. Teddy Oglethorpe, head of planetary defense, tells them to come to D.C. for a meeting with the president about this now classified issue. They arrive at the White House early, but wait all day without seeing the president, who is dealing with a scandal about one of her nominees. Kate and Randall spend the night in a hotel, calling their loved ones for comfort, but unable to explain the situation. Randall calls his wife June and his sons, while Kate talks to her boyfriend Philip, a journalist for a major newspaper. The next day, Kate, Randall, and Teddy finally meet President Janie Orlean and Chief of Staff Jason Orlean, who is also the president's son. They dismiss the scientists' warnings, saying they hear doomsday predictions every month about the economy or nuclear threats, and they want to wait until after the midterm elections. Since the White House won't act, Teddy suggests leaking the information to the press. This could be risky, since it's illegal to discuss classified information, but it's better than dying from a comet. Meanwhile, tech billionaire and Bash CEO Sir Peter Isherwell learns about the comet from astronomer friends. Philip gets Kate and Randall an interview with the New York Herald. The Herald agrees to publish the story, especially after confirming the data and hearing the White House denies the meeting. But first, they want Kate and Randall to appear on the morning show, The Daily Rip, hosted by Brie Yvonne T. and Jack Bremer. The hosts don't treat the scientists seriously, wanting to keep bad news upbeat. Kate loses her cool, yelling about the terrifying situation before storming off. Randall stays for the rest of the interview, and afterward, Brie asks him to join her for drinks later. Later, the New York Herald's marketing team shows them the results of their appearance. The singer who was on before them, discussing her breakup, got more social media attention. Kate has become a meme as the angry lady, and Randall is seen as surprisingly handsome for a scientist, but no one cares about their news. The newspaper decides to pull their support, claiming NASA says the data isn't solid. They soon realize the head of NASA, who isn't even a real astronomer, is one of the president's donors and follows her agenda. To make things worse, Philip exploits Kate's viral fame and writes an article about how he used to date her, which she sees as a breakup. Randall can't stop arguing on social media with people questioning his science and conspiracy theorists. When the president gets caught in a bigger scandal involving some intimate photos, she has the FBI bring Kate, Randall, and Teddy back to her office and apologizes for ignoring them. Kate quickly realizes they're only doing this because they fear losing the midterms, but agrees to help anyway since stopping the comet is the most important thing right now. The president makes a national announcement, confirming the comet is real and that they have a plan to destroy it. They'll launch a spacecraft carrying nuclear weapons to strike the comet. Despite Randall's belief that this should be a remote-controlled mission, Janie chooses General Benedict Drask to pilot the spacecraft, thinking a hero figure will help people deal with the news. Janie and Randall appear on all sorts of TV shows and magazine covers as the event goes viral online, finally getting the attention it deserves. After another appearance on The Daily Rip, Randall and Brie end up sleeping together, while Teddy and Kate argue with comet deniers on a conservative show. The launch day arrives, and the event is broadcast around the world. The spacecraft launches successfully, but General Drask's microphone is quickly cut off due to his bigoted comments on camera. Everyone is ready to celebrate the comet's destruction, but they're shocked when Isherwell arrives and reveals to the president that the spacecraft is turning back. Janie has canceled the mission. Hours later, as the world tries to understand what happened, Randall is made chief science advisor to the White House and attends an emergency cabinet meeting, while Teddy and Kate are left out. They canceled the mission because Isherwell, a major donor, discovered the comet is made of trillions of dollars worth of rare earth minerals used in tech like phones, and China controls most of the existing mines. The plan is to send drones to break up the comet, letting smaller pieces fall into the ocean for later mining. Randall disagrees, especially when he learns Isherwell's tech hasn't been peer-reviewed, and opposing scientists have been silenced. But he has no control over the situation. After the meeting, he joins Kate and Teddy at a bar and tells them about Isherwell. People nearby overhear them, and Kate decides they deserve the truth. She loudly announces that the president will let the comet hit Earth so the rich can get richer. This starts riots around the city. The FBI arrests Kate for sharing classified information and property damage, but they'll release her if she agrees to stay quiet and disappear, which Kate accepts, returning to her small Illinois hometown. Returning to her old life is hard, as her parents support the government and won't take her back. She starts working as a supermarket cashier, where she meets Yule and his friends, who admire her and invite her to hang out. After discovering they shoplift, Kate lets them go since she doesn't care anymore with the world ending. She accepts joining them and starts a relationship with Yule. Meanwhile, Randall keeps working for the president, believing it's his only way to help the planet, and has an affair with Bree. This backfires when one evening, they return to their hotel room to find June waiting to surprise her husband. Randall doesn't apologize, just makes excuses, so June throws his pills at him and leaves for good. After an argument with Isherwell about his faulty science and being told he'll die alone, Randall appears on the Daily Rip and finally snaps. Furious, he yells on national television, calling everyone out for ignoring the comet, which many had begun to disbelieve. He also reveals how Isherwell silences opposing scientists, that the president lied, and the administration is out of control. The FBI catches him afterward and offers him the same deal as Kate, so Bree breaks up with him. Sometime later, Randall is driving back to Michigan and Kate is hanging out with Yule when they both look up and see it. The comet is now visible to the naked eye. They both record videos and ask the world to see it, starting the Look Up movement, which millions join online. Randall even goes back on TV to challenge the government's awful plans, gaining support from two famous singers who write a Just Look Up song. In response, Janie launches the Don't Look Up movement, backed by millions of conservative voters and conspiracy theorists who believe her claims that Randall is spreading fear and wants to take away their freedom. Riots and protests erupt as Russia, India, and China collaborate to send their own spacecraft to stop the comet, but their launch fails and the spacecraft explodes. As the comet gets closer and deniers finally realize the truth, Randall takes Kate and Yule grocery shopping, then drives them to his hometown so they can spend their last day as a family. In these dire circumstances, June decides to forgive Randall, admitting to her own past affair, and Teddy joins them too. They all share a dinner, telling stories and offering a final prayer while they wait for the comet to hit. On the launch night, Janie asks Isherwell how the algorithms predict she'll die. He says it'll be a Bronterock, whatever that is. The spacecraft launches, losing some drones, but Isherwell insists everything's okay since he planned for errors. However, he's totally wrong. The rest of the drones explode on contact with the comet. Knowing death is certain, Isherwell and Janie escape in a secret spaceship designed to cryogenically freeze the wealthy passengers so they can flee Earth before the impact. Forgetting her son, Janie calls Randall and offers him and his wife a place, but he refuses, wanting to stay with his chosen family until the end. As the comet strikes, destroying life as we know it, people around the world hold their loved ones close. The only survivor from the rubble is Jason, who immediately celebrates by taking a selfie. 22,700 years later, the wealthy passenger's ship finally finds a planet with a breathable atmosphere. The men and women are woken up and explore. When Janie approaches a beautiful new creature, it attacks her. She's killed by a Bronterock, just as the algorithms predicted.